And welcome into Poke the Bear, episode 117. That is Conor Ryan. I'm Evan Marinofsky. Conor, how you doing?
Evan, I'm doing well. How you doing?
Doing great. It has been an action-packed week of Bruins hockey, as people can tell. And I said this. I'll say this now. We're recording this prior to the Ducks game on Thursday night. But fortunately, there's two fresh games to talk about. There are many storylines to go off of. So we will not be short on things to talk about this week. As you guys know, throughout the year, sometimes it happens. It happened on Bruins Beat Monday, where just happened. We had to record before the game. Sometimes things like that happen. You live with it. You move on. But it has been an interesting week for the Bruins. It was a nice little back-to-back. First back-to-back of the season. Back-to-backs, always fun. Always fun back-to-backs. But first game against the Panthers. Crazy game. Won that game. Pastrnak, beautiful goal. Good stuff. Linus Ullmark was great. Next night was a circus. Next night against the Senators. Quite crazy. 7-5 loss. They just kept going back and forth with 3 goals, then 3 goals, then 3 goals. Ended up losing in the end, pulled Swayman in the third. And I think people are kind of a little uneasy because it's like, 7 goals. Not great. Conor Ryan, is it worth panicking over?
I mean, I don't think it's worth panicking over in terms of a loss like that being like an omen or a sign of things to come, where the Bruins are going to have to win all these games 6-5 or what have you from now until the middle of November or anything like that. But that being said, I think, I wouldn't view it as like an omen. I would view it more as just a reminder of, just the margin of error for this team defensively when you got this personnel back out there. It's going to be pretty slim in terms of you have to really be on your game, really adhering to that zone defense. And I think for as much as the Bruins are, and especially Jim Montgomery, are emphasizing, being aggressive, you're seeing sequences here now where you have to, again, reel it in. You can't just, get the reins taken off you for the entire game. It's about kind of identifying those opportunities to be aggressive and not having it end up burning you. I think, it was Derek Forbert who had a pinch up the neutral zone, led to that 2-on-1 chance and ended with a goal from Shane Pinto. That game against Ottawa was one where every single guy on the blue line had 2 or 3 bad plays that they probably don't want to, they want to burn the tape from. That was not like it was one particular pairing, like Zaboral and Strawman weren't great, but it wasn't like just one pairing was consistently getting hemmed in. Everyone had a bad game. So again, those things do happen in hockey. Even, Bruce Cassidy's teams that had a very, stingy zone defense had a couple of games where things just got away from them. I don't view it as like this thing where it's like, all right, here comes, every team's going to be scoring 4, 5, 6 goals against the Bruins, but sometimes you kind of need that gut punch from a game like that where, it just reminds you that you're trying to be more aggressive, try to push the pace a bit more. But if you stray from those, the bread and butter of what's been the success for the Bruins over the years has been a very stout, layered defense. If you let that slip against a team like Ottawa that had a lot of juice going into the game, with it being home opener, started the year off 0-2, a lot of firepower up front, it's going to happen. Like, you can't just go have a game like that against a team like that, or especially like a Colorado, what have you, because you're going to get run out of the building, right? So
game like that against Colorado would not go well.
would not be great. So is it this doom and gloom scenario? I don't think so, but still, it's maybe good for the Bruins to kind of get knocked down a peg in terms of, you look at those first few games. Yeah, they won. They would score a bunch of goals and they kept on fighting back. But there were so many of those sequences in those games against Washington, Arizona, where it comes back being 3-3, the Florida game, which got closer at the end when it really shouldn't have. Maybe it's good to have a loss like this against Ottawa, where you kind of get reminded that you can't just let those defensive identities slip at all in a game like this.
And then I think in terms of Swayman, it was a terrible start for him. I think there were some soft ones that went in. I wouldn't worry so much about him. I think if his next start is not great, then you have to, be a little more worrisome. If these build on each other, if his next game is terrific, then, it's just a bad start. That happens to veteran goalies, young goalies, that doesn't matter. But if that builds on itself, then there's an issue. And by the way, there's been no sign with Swayman that like it will build on itself. But I'm just saying, like, if it does, then there's reason to worry. But
Yes.
off of one bad game against Ottawa, I can't sit here and say that I'm super worried about Swayman this season. Another thing, again, is just like, I think that game pointed out the hole in this team right now. It's on D. And I think it also, as you said, kind of tempers that, it's great to be aggressive, but with this D core, without Grzelcyk and McAvoy, with Anton Strawman, who's in his first regular season game, with, guys like Zaboral, who's recovering from an ACL injury and like different things like that. Like, I don't know if that's the group that you can just let go fully, up against the wall. You can't just let them loose. And you saw that. But the one positive from that game and from the first 4 games of the season, bottom 6 is contributing. The other night in Ottawa, AJ Greer had another goal, which again, just an incredible value signing. I remember we were all at Warrior the day that Greer got signed, and we all kind of went like, who? Like, okay, like great. We were all kind of waiting for Bergeron and Krejci. Little did we know that this, AJ Greer guy was going to turn into an actual, contributor in the bottom 6. Also, you have Nick Foligno, who had a goal the other night. Again, in the not the Florida game, in the Arizona game, there was one of the games recently hit the post and then later scored. I'm struggling to remember if that was I think that was Arizona. They'll blend together at this point. But my point is, they're getting some serious contributions out of the bottom 6, which is pretty good.
Yeah, really encouraging. As you said, AJ Greer continues to be a guy that it's something where I feel like we always talk about the strides that he's made and, the performances he's putting together. And we always have to add a qualifier of like, we're not saying he's scoring 20 goals and stuff like that, which I still don't think is going to be the case, but he's at 5 points already. Like he's at the very least proving, that he can be an everyday guy in this lineup. It'd be one thing if that trademark kind of energy and that physicality he brings, if he could just keep that going night in and night out, which if he played like that while giving you 7 goals and 14 points at the end of an 82 game season, you'd be more than happy with in terms of what.
And I think it'll be more than that.
Yeah. And I mean, yeah, right now he's on pace to be a 20 goal guy, a 50 point guy, which we'll see how that momentum kind of, how much that carries over in terms of how much he can actually hit that offensive ceiling. But in terms of just what his role is and how much of an added spark he's giving you, at least right now, seems like a guy that's going to be, you should confidently pencil him into that bottom 6, wherever it is, for the time being. And for the, remainder of this year, if he can keep up that level of play, whether it's on the 3rd line, he looked good on the right side next to Charlie Coyle. He's going to be on the 4th line against Anaheim on Thursday. So he's a guy that whether it's left wing, right wing, wherever he's going, he's, his game isn't changing. He's still bringing you energy. He's still being aggressive on the forecheck. And so far, at least, he's making the most of those opportunities. It's not also like he's, tipping pucks or he's getting loose pucks. He's like sniping a few past some guys. Like he's got a pretty good
these are real
finish for
goals.
a guy like that. So encouraging to see that. And yeah, again, Nick Foligno, as much as, some Bruins fans are, ready to move on in terms of you talk about the contract or his spot in the lineup, you got to give credit where it's due that he's been effective so far. For him, I think it's all about carrying that play over the span of a long season, especially at his age. But he's already equaled his goal total from last year, so he can only go up from here. Every other goal is
the sky is the limit.
And yeah, he hasn't, he's been engaged. He's been physical. There's times where the Bruins have had, bad second periods or an extended kind of stretch where I think in Florida, they had a stretch where they were out shooting the Bruins like 10-1 or something. And he started trying to get some action going after the whistle, like just the little things you kind of need out of a veteran guy in the bottom 6. He's doing that. For us, we always said it's never been an issue with Foligno about, buy-in or effort or anything like that. It's just production out there on the ice. And so far he's done it so far. So you add in him, Coyle, who I think has been pretty solid early on. It's, again, we don't want to say there's any issues but the Bruins were also averaging 5.25 goals per game so far. Like so far the issue hasn't been offensively. Like, what you're more or less getting out of the top 6. Jake DeBrusk has been great so far. But yeah, you look at most of the secondary contributors, all of them, or at least most of them, have been pulling their weight so far.
And we kind of predicted that before the year, in the sense that this is going to be a team that for the first 2 months of the year, very offensive, defensively might have some shortcomings. What's interesting with Foligno is, I think he's, last year got a lot of hate from Bruins fans because of the lack of production and things like that. What's ironic is he's an easy guy to root for. Great guy, good leader, veteran player, checks all the boxes. as you said, though, just the production wasn't there last year. And I think people's, gripe with him was it's just he gets paid a lot of money and didn't really play up to it. The reality is, though, if he does, I feel like he can kind of become like a fan favorite, just given that good dude, funny guy, like all that. So one player who's in the bottom six who has not been producing at the level that I think the Bruins would like him to produce at, and this is kind of a continuation of last year's Craig Smith. And this was a guy we talked about a little bit heading into this offseason, kind of being like, he could potentially be an odd man out. He could be a guy that gets dealt. We thought maybe a Craig Smith deal could happen during the offseason, just given that there are a lot of younger guys like Mark McLaughlin and others who maybe could fit that bill and be a little cheaper. So far, though, the results have not been terrific with Craig Smith.
Yeah, no, it's been disappointing so far. Again, we should say whether we're talking about Greer, Foligno, Smith, Swayman, all these guys, like we won't make any, I think, sweeping declarations until we're a few weeks into the season. I think everyone always gets caught up into it. That being said, as we now go into it, though, it's you look at how Craig Smith is playing. It's not been encouraging, right? It's not just the fact that there's been a lack of production. I think he has one secondary assist, but he's even not, doing kind of his trademark in terms of firing the puck in from every area of the ice, right? I think he's got 2 shots on goal so far this season. And I understand the Bruins it feels like they're more geared offensively, so you think this would maybe benefit him. I don't know if maybe it's the fact that the Bruins are almost being a bit more selective in the offensive zone in terms of, no more kind of low to high or low danger, shots from out deep that can be kind of easily corralled. They're settling for a bit more, but still, Chris Smith has a great shot. Like I don't think being more patient and trying to get a higher danger chances is going against the grain in terms of what the main strength of Smith's game is, which is, that shot. He's a guy that has hit 15 goals 7 times in his career. He's hit 20 goals 4 or 5 times. I mean, he's been pretty steady in terms of what you can expect in terms of maybe the floor of a middle 6 winger. And again, early on, but it just seems like he's kind of stuck in this weird no man's land, right? Where he's not getting a lot of power play time, but his main strength is on, even strength action. I think he was 4th on the team last year in even strength goals, 1 behind Bergeron. And if he's on the 4th line, he's averaging, 7-8 minutes, of reps a night. That's not helping anyone, right? Like you're not getting the most out of how he can kind of play his game. And he's obviously not benefiting from being on a 4th line. So, the fact that Greer's kind of stepped in has made it a little bit tougher for him to carve out a spot, but it's something where it's worth monitoring, right? Because it's a good problem to have if Greer continues to play like a guy that could give you 20 goals. It's a good problem if Fabian Lysell plays well in Providence or even Mark McLaughlin. Like if you're looking at it, we kind of push back on the notion of if we're looking at guys who are going to be the odd man out to make room, for the cap. Smith's still a guy that if you're trying to win now would kind of fit the mold of a veteran shot first guy that can really help, add some finishing ability to that 3rd line. But if you're looking at it now and you can get, a cheaper production out of the same level as to what you're getting from Smith right now with, again, Lysell or McLaughlin or just keeping Greer in that spot, something you have to consider. Again, I think the Bruins are going to, give Smith time to kind of reset and see if he can kind of fight back into the lineup. But right now, at least, has not been very strong in terms of what you're seeing from him. Out of a guy that, if we talked about this a month or 2 ago, would be like, all right, he's set in stone. You don't have to worry about the 3rd line. It's Coyle and Smith. Figure out what's on the left side and go from there. Right now, it doesn't seem to be that case right now.
Yeah, well, it's funny because, you touched on it a little bit, is they are a different offensive team. You see they don't outshoot everybody. They don't go for every shot. They get to high danger areas. And it feels like Smith's almost a guy who, I guess can get hurt by that. But at some point you feel like he might find his rhythm with the new system where he's getting to those high danger areas, better, maybe taking less shots, but scoring more goals. Wouldn't surprise me if that happened throughout the year. The problem is, though, that you hit on this again, Greer, McLaughlin, Frederick, Lysell down the road. You have all these guys who, McLaughlin and Lysell are in Providence, but, Frederick and Greer are up here. Studnicka as well. They're up here. They're vying for those spots. And so far, Frederick and Greer have actually you've got returns on. So again, I don't know if there's going to be that runway for him to kind of figure out the new system. interesting to watch. I'm not going to sit here and say to you like, oh, they got to trade him. Like it's not even 4 games in, or it's not even 4 games into the season. So I'm not going to sit here and get on the trade Craig Smith train, because I don't think that needs to leave the station just yet. Someone coming into the station, Matt Grzelcyk, back in the lineup Thursday night against the Ducks. It's a big help. It's another, top 4 defenseman back there. You need him. I mean, he's not a righty; he's a lefty. You could use a right shot defenseman.
Anton Strawman is still stuck in
Ottawa.
Ottawa. So he's got the sloths from Zootopia doing his visa information, just taking forever. Poor guy.
Poor guy is stuck up in Ottawa, which is not, it's not like he's stuck in Tampa, Florida, or Southern California. It's Ottawa,
sure isn't.
Which not the greatest, but whatever. You still have to put out defenseman tonight or Thursday night. And what does Grzelcyk bring it to you? I mean, do you think Grzelcyk kind of shores up the defensive zone a bit? Because, I mean, they don't need the offense. They just really right now need the defense.
Yeah, I think it's something where at the very least it gives you another weapon, I think, for Montgomery. And I think for a lot of people look at Grzelcyk's skill set, and I think it's both the good and bad in terms of what he brings, in terms of you can talk about how he's maybe underrated offensively, but you can also say he's underrated defensively in terms of just how good he is at breaking the puck out, moving the puck through transition. Sometimes those plays are the best defense in terms of limiting the amount of time the other team is, trying to force turnovers and recover the puck in your own zone, which leads to grade A chances, breakdowns, all those kind of bang plays that can lead to high danger chances. So I think he helps in that regard. And then I think just a guy in Grzelcyk who hopefully with a clean bill of health, I mean, he played 2/3 of last year with a separated shoulder, so he was not at his best, which I think is something, worth, noting when it comes to him building off of last year. But
you'd like for your shoulder to not be separated while playing hockey.
Ideally, I would say so. I'm not a doctor, so let's both say that. But I don't want to be too bold here. But I would say if I had to pick, if I had to bet, what would be my preferred option? I'd rather play with a shoulder that is attached, as opposed to it being separated. Like I find it would be a little bit more arduous of a job if it was separated. But
I probably agree with that.
But yeah, whether it's just that ability in transition to break the puck out, which could help out quite a bit in terms of limiting how many extended ozone looks other teams have, or again, as you said, the Bruins don't really need a lot of help from generating offense, but a guy like Grzelcyk, who's known for being very good on the offensive blue line, for making the right pass when he's on his game. Curious to see how he kind of builds into Montgomery's system, how he buys into it, and how much maybe more of an offensive ceiling you can get out of a guy like Grzelcyk under this new system.
It's big. It's one of your 3 guys you were looking for to come back. He's back by August 20th. That's pretty good. You just hope he stays, healthy. I think that's the biggest thing. So let's get to the fun. This is the fun stuff. This is what's the most controversial part of today's episode. I think everyone's kind of been waiting for this. On Thursday afternoon, the Bruins, along with every other NHL team, announced their reverse retro. I always hate when it leaks beforehand.
Yeah.
Like I want to see it when it comes out. I don't want the leak. I like to be surprised. And the Bruins one was kind of leaked. It was leaked, which, what are you going to do?
Mm-hmm.
But so, I'm not a Pooh Bear guy. I think we've both been kind of anti Pooh Bear in the past. I know I've been. I think you have been too. I
have no qualms with Mr. Pooh Bear.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never been the biggest Pooh Bear guy. So I'll be honest. I'm lukewarm on it. I'm not. I don't find this I don't love this as much as the reverse retro they had the first time in 2021. Yeah. That was a really good reverse retro. The yellow was sharp, and the logo was perfect.
Yeah,
they wore it like Tahoe. Yes, I love that. This is fine. I don't have any I don't love the Pooh Bear. I guess I like the white, but I don't. This is okay jersey. I don't think this is anything outstanding. There are people who love the Pooh Bear who love this, but I don't know if I love this. What about you?
I think it's solid for what it is. I think one, if you really do hate it, it's a jersey, so
yeah,
you're gonna be fine. Also, they're gonna wear this up until December, so they're clearly gonna once they unveil.
Is there any plan after that they're gonna? I know the Bruins will imagine until December 31st.
What I would imagine is once they announce the Winter Classic jersey, that will be their other alternate. So
yes,
again, you don't have to worry about it. You're not gonna see it probably that much, but I think it's solid. I think for these reverse retros, the one thing I hate, and I think that's why I think you're seeing the Bruins like consistently land in the top 10 in terms of there's already been like 800 ranking the reverse retro jerseys. Bruins are in top 10 because you know what? At least they went for it, right? At least they did something. You know, like you love it, you hate it. You have people talking about it. It's different. It's like if people brought back like what's that awful logo of like the Red Sox where it's like a humanoid sock like with the bat in his chin. He looks like Jay Leno. Like bring that back. Like who cares? Like you'll have people either be extremely mad online and you'll have people who buy it, one, because maybe they like it, or two, because it's hysterical. Like just embrace it. So
like look at the Canucks. The Canucks did that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, go for something like that. Like I saw way too many ones that are just the color scheme slightly different or what have you. And it's like, all right, well, this is your time to go for it. And Bruins again had more of canvas to really try to, you know, do something different just because of the fact that they do have another jersey on the way that I imagine is going to be a bit safer in turn, you know, maybe just different colors, but won't be as egregious maybe. I am with you though, that I agree that they should have given the 2021 reverse retros more run. It's like typical NHL where like quite a few of those jerseys that year were like fire. And they
I remember we talked about that a lot, and like they had some good unis.
And like you unveiled that in the season where like people couldn't even go into the building until the playoffs. You had them play like 5 or 6 games with them, and then you just stop selling them. Like if you had that as like your third alternate now, they'd still sell like crazy. That was such a great sweater. So
alas, loved it. I loved it.
Evan.
Alas. I do think though, I mean, I would imagine their Winter Classic jerseys are going to be darker because they're home. Mm-hmm. I would not be opposed to them in the new year wearing the reverse retros on the road sparingly, because I'm in the camp that thinks that the Bruins, they've had the same home and away jersey now, aside from the little tweaks that Adidas brought from Reebok. They've had the same jersey since 2007.
Yeah.
That's like 15 years at this point. So like, I wouldn't be opposed. Now, I'm not saying make this the new away jersey. What I'm saying is I would not be opposed to next season them making some tweaks, switch it up a bit. Now, I know it's a good jersey. Like they have a good home and away jersey. Like we're fortunate that we get to watch it every game. And like it's a clean home jersey, a clean away. Like it's a good setup. I just wouldn't mind a little change. And throwing these alternates in, I think helps. Wear them on the road after this. Wear the darker ones at home. Wear the lighter ones on the road. Like I'm fine with that, switch it up. I like that. I like that about basketball. They have 1,000 jerseys. The Celtics wore their Bill Russell jerseys on home opener. They should wear those, more, and you throw other jerseys in. Like I like that. I think
I'm all for cycling as many jerseys as possible. I even like when like teams bring out like their alternates or like special ones for the playoffs. I always love when like Pittsburgh would do that. Like the Penguins would have their alternates for. So I always feel like it's like a special occasion. It's like BU always has their alternates, but they're always like in hockey playoffs or it's in like the bean pot to break them out. It feels like it's a special occasion. So
where I like the alternates.
Maybe not the Pooh Bears. Maybe not the Pooh Bears.
Yeah, no.
But if they brought back those Tahoe ones for like a playoff game, whew.
Hell yeah. No, I'm in. I've always liked that. My favorite reverse retro, Florida. I think Florida hit it out of the park on that one.
Yeah,
I love baby blue. Them and the Canadians, I know the Canadian for teams like the Canadians and the Red Wings, it's tough because they've always had the same logo. It's always kind of in the same branding. The Red Wings missed, but I will give the Canadians credit because that's actually a pretty good sweater.
Yeah, they did a good job. I'm not buying into the gimmick about the glow in the dark Vegas ones. Like who cares?
Oh, those are glow in the dark. I didn't even see that.
They glow in the dark, but you don't even play in the dark though. What's the point of it? It's like having
Bruce
like
Cassidy one time in the Garden, the lights went off. So maybe
there was that one time, maybe that's what they were thinking of. But it's like having these like features that aren't even practical. That's like if Vegas announced like the lettuce had like scratch and sniff and it smelled like root beer. It's like, that's cool. It doesn't mean anything. Like, I don't know. Why'd you do that? Why'd you spend like the extra 10 grand to add scratch and sniff to the letters?
Yeah. I also like the Coyotes. I like the burnt orange. I like that, I mean, again, I like when teams take chances. I wouldn't say any of the three that I like took like huge chances, but they're visually appeasing. I think hockey, we would all agree has the highest ceiling for what you can do with a sweater. Just the logos, the colors, like, in my mind, every team should have a bunch of sweaters. I do. I think it's, I'm glad that Adidas is doing this, but I don't know why They don't have the old reverse retros too. Like, you don't have to wear them every game. You can use them sparingly. I know it's annoying for equipment managers who are, having to constantly kind of switch, but like, you have them, you might as well like use them. So again, I don't hate the jerseys that the Bruins have. I think they're good. I'm lukewarm on it. I was not like super into it, but I also wasn't like, oh, I can't watch those games. How am I it's gonna hurt my eyes.
It's like the people who were mad about when they had the Rapid 7 logo. It's like, this is an affront to my jersey that I spill marinara sauce on when I go to when I go to Pizzeria Regina. It's like, what do you relax? It's a jersey.
Just Pizzeria Regina though. Just Pizzeria Regina.
Only the marinara sauce from Regina is the one where you never know. So
yeah. No, I don't know. There are some other good ones. I always like when they bring these out because it's a change. I don't think there were any like horrible ones. There were some that just weren't that creative.
It was boring.
Yeah, like to me, I'll never like the Capitals' old logo. I just won't. I just think it's really dull. That's just me. Everyone has a different taste, different strokes, different folks. So, anyways, Connor, what can people look forward to from you over at BSJ?
Yeah, we're going to have you covered every step of the way as the season goes on. We'll have coverage from, obviously, recording Thursday, so we'll have full coverage from the Bruins-Ducks game. Throughout the week, we'll have our usual game reports, practice reports, video breakdowns, working on a couple of features, Q&As, everything. We have everything over at bostonsportsjournal.com, so please subscribe over at BSJ. If you want to follow me on Twitter, you can do that at ConorRyan_93.
Go do all that. That's Conor Ryan, Evan Marinofsky, Poke the Bear listeners. Have a great rest of your day.